Hey everybody, and welcome to another episode of Magic with Zuby. My name is Zuby, and if you're brand new to this show, the show's all about a little known card game called Magic the Gathering. So on today's episode, we're going over all the red cards of Zendikar Rising, and if you're coming here thinking that this is going to be for pro players, like how to get an edge and win on your pre-release, you've come to the wrong video. So if you want to have a normie's perspective on some of these cards and whether or not they're good for standard, historic, limited, or EDH, hey, come right on down. I'm probably your person for that. Otherwise, if you want to know how to win, don't come to me at all because I'm not going to help you win because I'm terrible at this game. But anyways, so let's get some announcements out of the way. This show, if you want to help support the show's Patreon can be found on patreon.com/magicwithzuby. You can reach out to me on Twitter at magicwithzuby, on Instagram at magic_with_Zuby, and you can reach me via email at mtgzuby@gmail.com, and the Discord is in the show notes below. And then we've got two quick little ads out of the way, and then we'll get with all the red cards of Zendikar Rising, and boom. Well, hey there, Zoe. Why the long face there, chum?
I just want to order some magic cards, but the shipping was too expensive.
Too expensive? Well, did you know if you go to legitmtg.com, you can order any magic cards, and anything over $2 or more has free shipping?
Wow, free shipping's at legitmtg.com. That's amazing.
You heard that right, Zoe. Free shipping at legitmtg.com with any order over $2 or more. Be sure to visit today and get the best deal on Magic singles and Magic sealed product available.
Wow, that's amazing.
And that is how you beat the latest standard meta with Abzan.
Ugh, it feels like there's no Magic content out there for someone like me. Someone who doesn't want to be competitive. Someone who is...
A normie?
Yeah, exactly! A normie!
Well, have I got the show for you, the all-new Magic for Normies show.
Hi, I'm Pixie.
And I'm Zuby.
Together, we host the all-new
Magic for Normies.
It is the Magic the Gathering show for all your normie needs. We don't care what deck got into the top 8 or what deck is winning. We care about having fun playing Magic.
That's right, Pixie. You can watch us on Pixie's Twitch channel at twitch.tv/PixieKittenPlays and catch the VOD on our YouTube channel, Pixie Kitten Plays. If audio is your thing, you can find episodes on the Magic with Zuby RSS feed. Magic for Normies. Alright, so starting off with the red cards here of Zendikar Rising, we've got our first one. Akuum, I don't know how you say that. Akuum Hellhound for 1 red. It's an elemental dog creature. And it is a 0/1, has a landfall whenever a land enters the battlefield under your control. This gets +2/+2 until end of turn. Great aggro creature. Really great aggro landfall creature. Kind of reminds me of the one Lynx from the original Zendikar. That was in white. Now this is in red. So super great card for your aggro sort of aggro-ness in limited there, and possibly like, hey, if there could be a landfall aggro deck in standard, hell, this would be one of the creatures you'll definitely want. Because I mean, yeah, it's not going to do anything turn 1 anyway. It doesn't have haste, but then turn 2, it's going to be a 2/3 by turn 2. Heck yes. All right, next up, we've got Akuum Warrior. It is a 5 and a red Minotaur Warrior. It's a 4/5 with Trample. That's pretty much all it is, a 4/5 with Trample. Not bad, not bad. And you can flip it around to turn it into a red mana if you need it. So a 4/5 with Trample is not too bad. It's got a nice booty, and it can trample over stuff should you need it, or be a pretty decent blocker should you need it as well, too. Next up, we've got Ardent Electromancer for 2 and a red. It's a human wizard 3/2. When this enters the battlefield, add red mana for each creature in your party, so it'll always add a minimum of 1. This could always be handy should you have a lot of creatures out on the field that sort of complement your party and you want to be able to play something else for some free mana there. So not a bad creature at all to have, and pretty worth it if you're going in red. to just add some more mana to be able to play something else. Maybe to have it pay that kicker cost, you know? Next up, we've got Cinderclasm. For 1 and a red, it's an instant with a kicker of 1 red. This deals 1 damage to each creature. If it was kicked, it deals 2 damage to each creature instead. So just for 3 mana, this could be a small little board wipe for you in Limited. I don't see it seeing much play outside of Limited, maybe in like few select EDH decks or something. Maybe even Constructed, but this is more of a Limited card more than anything. Next up, we've got Cleansing Wildfire. For 1 and a red, it's a sorcery. Destroy target land. Its controller may search their library for a basic land card, put on the battlefield tap, then shuffle their library. Draw a card, so a 2-mana cantrip that destroys a target land. And if you happen to be going up against an opponent that has a super greedy mana base that has 0 basics, well, you kind of just screwed him out of a land there for 2 mana. That is a really powerful land destruction card, I may say so, and that's gonna punish a lot of 3-color decks in Standard, Historic, heck, even in Modern and Legacy as well too, because there's not a whole lot of basics played in a lot of those older formats as well. So it's a really good card, really good. In like EDH, you know, could see a little bit of play, but not that much. But in older formats, like even Pioneer, Modern, Legacy, it'll probably see a lot of play for sure. Next up, we've got Expedition Champion. For 2 and a red, it's a human warrior. It's a 2/3. This gets +2/+own as long as you control another warrior, and it's not too hard to get another warrior out. So a 4/3 for 3 is nothing to scoff at. Even if you don't have another warrior, or 2/3 for 3 is still not bad to have as well. So it's a pretty decent, you know, mid to late pick card for when you're drafting there. Oh, I'm trying not to sneeze. Try not to sneeze. And of course I sneezed. Next up, we've got Fireblade Charger. For 1 red. It's a Goblin Warrior. It's a 1/1. As long as Fireblade Charger is equipped, it has haste. When Fireblade Charger dies, it deals damage equal to its power to any target. So we've seen some decent equipment to where you can attach it to any creature as soon as it enters the battlefield. So maybe it's referring to that. It probably is referring to that, and then when it dies, it deals damage equal to its power to any target. It's not bad. It's not a bad thing. I mean, at worst, it'll deal damage, 1 damage to something, and it doesn't excite me very much. It's kind of meh. It's not even like a high pick for me, to be honest here, unless you have some really good equipment. Or not even just really good equipment, but just, you're going to have some equipment and you have a good chance of equipping it to this goblin. Otherwise, it's kind of meh. Look for something else. Fisher Wizard. For 1 and a red, it's a goblin wizard. It's a 2/1. When this enters the battlefield, you may discard a card. If you do, draw a card. So a simple, discard card, draw a card that you see pretty common in red. And a 2/1 for 2 in red is not too bad either. Really good for that aggro plan you're trying to go for. And plus, it's a wizard. It helps you fill out your party. Next up, we've got Goma Fata Vanguard. It's 1 and a red. It's a human warrior. It's a 2/2. So a 2/2 for 2. Awesome. When this attacks, target creature an opponent controls with power less than or equal to the number of warriors you control can't block this turn. So target creature an opponent controls with power. Ooh. So you could go like heavy into warriors with this card here in your limited deck and pretty much make a lot of stuff can't block on your opponent's side. Oh, it's only target creature. Oh, so imagine if you had more than one of these, so it would trigger off a couple times. Or would it only trigger off once? Because whenever Goma Fata Vanguard attacks, I think it would trigger off separately, wouldn't it? I think so. I don't know. But still, a 2/2 for 2 that has the possibility of allowing having your opponent not block stuff. Pretty good. It's pretty good. Way more interesting than the other uncommon we saw, the Fireblade Charger. Next up, we've got Grodig Bugcatcher. 1 and a red. It's a Goblin Warrior. It's a 1/2 with Trample. Whenever this attacks, it gets +1/+0 until end of turn for each creature in your party. So automatically it's going to get +1 because it'll see itself. So a 2/2 for 2 with trample, that's not bad. And if you know you're going the party route, you can just pump this up to be a 5/2 with trample, which, hey, pretty awesome. You have a good chance of getting some damage in there. Next up is Grotog Night Runner. For 2 and a red, it's a Goblin Rogue. It's a 2/3. When this deals combat damage to a player, exile the top card of your library. You may play that card this turn. It's not a bad little way to dig through some stuff. I mean, yeah, you'd have to play it that turn, but say you're pretty desperate for land and you didn't play a land yet. Boom, you attack, exile the top card. It happens to be a land. Boom, play it. There you go. I can't say this card name. Inordinate Rage. For 1 and a red, it's an instant. Target creature gets +3/+2 until end of turn. Scry 1. Really good combat trick. And the fact that you get to scry 1 just makes it that much better. Really handy to have in your draft deck for sure. Super handy combat trick card. Next up, we've got Kargan Intimidator. For 1 and a red, it's a human warrior. It's a 3/1. Cowards can't block warriors. You can pay 1 mana to choose one that hasn't been chosen this turn. Kargan Intimidator gets +1/+1 until end of turn. Target creature becomes a coward until end of turn. Target warrior gains trample until end of turn. Ooh. So, okay, I kind of like that. So you can, choose one that hasn't been, so you can basically pay 3 mana and choose one of each. And with cowards can't block warriors, so you can make one of your opponent's creatures a coward and it can't block Kargan here or any warrior. I could definitely see warrior tribal being a thing in limited here, because so far a lot of the warriors I've seen, not in just red but a lot of the other colors, are really good. And this would be a pack one pick one for sure, because you get rid of your other creatures, your opponent's creatures, and you can then make the one remaining creature a coward each time. Boom, great, awesome. Next up, we've got Kazul's Fury. 2 and a red. It is an instant. As additional cost to cast the spell, sack a creature. This deals damage equal to the sacrificed creature's power to any target. So basically a fling spell. A fling spell with a slight advantage. You can use it as a land instead if you don't need to fling anything. So, it's fling. Fling is always pretty good in limited. So if you need it, grab it, and you can use it a land. Awesome. Next up, we've got Leyline Tyrant. For 2 double red, it's a dragon with flying, 4/4. So a 4/4 for 4 with flying is very awesome. Yes, it is a mythic. You don't lose unspent red mana as steps and phases end. When Leyline Tyrant dies, you may pay any amount of red. When you do, it deals that much damage to any target. Ooh, that is good. I mean, yeah, pack one, pick 100, 1,000%. And it's like the green Omnath, the mono green Omnath, where you're not going to lose red mana. Yeah, why wouldn't you play this card in your draft? I mean, this is going to see play in standard, historic, definitely EDH, in mono red decks, or even hell, I'd play this in my Omnath Locus of Rage deck as well too. This is just ridiculous. I love that effect where you get to basically keep your red mana until until you use it, right? It's awesome. Pack one, pick 100%. What more do I need to say? Next up is Magmatic Channeler. For 1 and a red, it's a human wizard. It's a 1/3. As long as there are 4 or more instants and or sorcery cards in your graveyard, this gets +3/+1. You can tap this to discard a card, exile the top 2 cards of your library, then choose one of them. You may play that card this turn. Okay, so it's not a bad little digging through your library to be able to get closer to an answer you need. And if you do happen to have 4 or more instant sorcery cards, this will be a 4/4. Not a bad little pack one, pick one as well, just for the discard a card effect and being able to dig through your library. I really like that effect there. It's pretty good. Next up, we've got Molten Blast for 2 and a red instant. It is a choose one. This deals 2 damage to target creature or planeswalker or destroy target artifact. So a pretty bad Abrade, I may say. More expensive than Braid, but more expensive than Abrade, but not as good. 3 mana, jeez, that's terrible. This is a terrible card. I mean, yeah, cool, you get to destroy target artifact, but man, only dealing 2 damage for 3 mana. Yeah, mid to late pick, I guess. I mean, it is some form of removal, but it's not a very good piece of removal. Next up, we've got Morag, Fury of Akum. For 4 double red, it's a Minotaur Warrior. It's a legendary creature. It's a 6/6 for 6. Each creature you control gets +1/+0 for each time it is attacked this turn. Oh, that's right. Whenever a land enters the battlefield under your control, if it's your main phase, there's an additional combat phase after this phase. At the beginning of that combat, untap all creatures you control. So I remember seeing this card, and I found something on Twitter that there's going to be so much confusion with this card here, and it even confused me because, so basically the way you'd want this card to work, and for anybody listening, please correct me if I'm wrong, but the way I understand it is you would not want the landfall ability to trigger until after your main combat phase, right? So you'd go to main phase, then combat phase, then you'd want the landfall trigger in your second main phase, because at the beginning of that combat, untap all creatures you control. So basically what would happen is if you would play a land during your first main phase, that additional combat phase would happen after that first main phase, and it would not be the original combat. So the way it would go is, all right, so untap, upkeep, draw, first main phase, you play a land, that triggers. Right after that first main phase is the additional combat phase after that phase. And then right after that additional combat phase would be the regular combat phase, but you don't get to untap all your creatures. That's what I understood from reading online from some Twitter thread. So you wouldn't want to do that until after your second main phase, because then after your second main phase, instead of going straight to end step, you would then go to the additional combat phase, getting to untap all your creatures. So that's going to be confusing as hell for people. So many people are going to get that wrong. So you heard it here first, or second, or 1,000th, and you want to have that landfall ability trigger in your second main phase, not your first main phase. Still, pack one, pick one, 1,000%. And this is going to be a pretty popular commander for a little bit too, at least in the beginning. Next up, we've got Nahiri's Lithoforming. It's an X double red sorcery. Sacrifice X lands. For each land sacrificed this way, draw a card. You may play X additional lands this turn. Lands you control enter the battlefield, tap this turn. So you could sacrifice X lands for each land, sack this way, draw a card. You may play X additional lands. I mean, this wouldn't be bad for, those EDH decks where you can just keep playing lands from your graveyard, like Jund, something like Lord Windgrace, something like that. Even Omnath, where you get Splendid Reclamation, be able to get all your cards from your library or from your graveyard, all land cards from your graveyard down on the battlefield, and all that. So this wouldn't be that bad in either of those. It as far as limited goes, I wouldn't touch this in limited at all, because you don't want to sack your lands. Because with your luck, you'd sack like 3 lands and then draw 3 cards, and oh look, you're down 3 lands now. Otherwise, keep this strictly to constructed here. I would not play this in limited at all. Next up, we've got Pyroclastic Hellion. For 4 and a red, it's a Hellion creature. It's a 4/5. So 4/5 for 5, not bad. When it enters the battlefield, you may return a land you control to its owner's hand. When you do, Pyroclastic Hellion deals 2 damage to each opponent. So, I mean, it's a small little cost for having it deal 2 extra damage, and it's a pretty decent, pretty decent body on the creature as well too. You might as well do it in a limited. Yeah, be mid to late pick. Next up, we've got Relic Robber. For 2 and a red, it's a Goblin Rogue. It's a 2/2 with haste. So a 2/2 for 3 with haste. When this deals combat damage to a player, that player creates a 0/1 colorless Goblin Construct Artifact creature token with... This creature can't block, and at the beginning of your upkeep, this creature deals 1 damage to you. Oh, snap. So, that Goblin Construct Artifact creature token, wow, that's a mouthful. Basically, you're going to keep giving your opponent those artifact creatures, and they're going to keep dealing damage to your opponent. Oh my gosh, that is good. Oof. I like that. Even if you manage to only get 1 or 2 of them, oh, you're in value town right there. Oh my gosh, that's so good. Pack 1, pick 1, 100%. 100% on that. And yeah, I could see this definitely seeing play in standard or historic. I'd probably try this out in Goblin with Muxus Goblins, because why not? It'd be fun. I mean, yeah, for the 3 mana slot, you want the Goblin War Chieftain or the other Goblin Lord. I'm forgetting the name of it. But yeah, this would just be fun to play. Next up, we've got Rock Slide Sorcerer. For 3 and a red, it's a human wizard. It's a 3/3. 3/3 for 4. Okay, whenever you cast an instant, sorcery, or wizard spell, this deals 1 damage to any target. Okay, 4 mana is a little expensive. I kind of like how it's similar to that Firebrand Archer from Amonkhet. I mean, with the additional bonus of it being also wizard spells are included too. And something like limited, this could be pretty useful. A 3/3 for 4, not too bad. Not too bad. Could be worse, but maybe mid to late pick. If you're going in red. Next up, we've got Royal Eruption. For 1 and a red, it's a sorcery. Has a kicker cost of 5. This deals 3 damage to any target. If the spell is kicked, it deals 5 damage instead. So for 7 mana, you could deal 5 damage to something. I mean, in limited, that may be, a game-winning decision there. So even if you don't kick it, just a 2 mana sorcery that deals 3 damage to any target, yeah, I'd probably early pick this. Like, very early pick, if I know I'm going in red here. Alright, next up, we've got Roiling Vortex. For 1 and a red, it's an enchantment at the beginning of each player's upkeep. This deals 1 damage to them. Whenever a player casts a spell, if no mana was spent to cast that spell, Roiling Vortex deals 5 damage to that player. You can also pay a red. Your opponents can't gain life this turn. So this is very similar to Sulfuric Vortex. At the beginning of each player's upkeep, this deals 1 damage to them. Okay, whenever a player casts, if no mana was spent to cast that spell, this deals 5 damage to that player. So a little bit different than Sulfuric Vortex. And you have to pay mana to make sure your opponents can't gain life, instead of Sulfuric, to where no one can gain any life. All players can't gain life. So it's not a bad card. I mean, in limited, I don't think I would pack 1, pick 1 this. I'd probably be looking for something else. God, yeah. And I just don't see this card being very good, except in cases like EDH, or even EDH, maybe like Modern or Legacy. I don't know. It's just, otherwise it doesn't seem to be very good, in my opinion. It's like a strictly worse Sulfuric Vortex. Next up, we've got Scavenge Blade. For 1 and a red, it's an artifact equipment. And when this enters the battlefield, attach it to a creature you control. Equipped creature gets +2/+0. Has an equip cost of 2 and a red. So just like other artifact equipments we've seen, where it automatically attaches to a creature when it ETBs, not bad at all. And a +2/+0 is fairly decent. Pick it if you're in red. That's all I'm going to say. Otherwise, it's okay. Scorch Rider. For 3 and a red, it's a human warrior. It's a 4/3 with a kicker cost of 1 and a red. So for 6 mana altogether, when this enters the battlefield, if it was kicked, it gains haste until end of turn. I mean, if you're trying to sneak in some more damage, or you've got the game-winning kill and you need something with haste, boom, there you go, to really trick out your opponent there. Otherwise, it's no harm in playing it for 4 mana as well. Next up, we've got Shatter Skull Charger for 1 double red. It's a giant warrior with a kicker cost of 2, so 5 mana altogether. 4/3 with trample and haste. If it was kicked, it enters the battlefield with a 1/1 counter on it, so it could be a 5/4 if it was kicked. At the beginning of your end step, if it doesn't have a 1/1 counter on it, return it to its owner's hand. So that's almost kind of like very similar to, what was that one mechanic in Fate Reforged where you'd like sneak in the card and it would come back to your hand at the beginning of your end step. I can't remember, or was it in Cons too? I don't remember, but pretty similar. So, I mean, I wouldn't even mind playing this like turn 3, turn 4, just having it keep returning back to your hand, and then turn 5, boom, you just pay the whole cost and it just stays there. This is a really good aggro card in Limited, and yes, pack one, pick one, 100% for that. Next up, we've got Shatter Skull Minotaur, 4 double red. It's a Minotaur warrior. The spell costs 1 less to cast for each creature in your party, so it's a 5/4. So right away, it's going to always... Well, it's not going to always cost 5, but right away, as long as you have some party members out on the battlefield, it's going to cost less. And a 5/4 body is not too bad. Could be better. I'd rather it be a 4/5, but, you can't always win them all. Not a bad card, but, probably look for something. Unless you're going, like, heavy in the party mechanic, yeah, this is a decent card to have. Otherwise, it might be something better in the pack. Next up, we got Shatter Skull Smashing. It's another red mythic. For X double red, Shatter Skull Smashing deals X damage divided as you choose among up to 2 target creatures and or planeswalkers. If X is 6 or more, this deals twice X damage divided as you choose among them instead. Okay, so that's really not a bad kind of burn spell to target creatures or planeswalkers, and, plus it could be a useful mountain should you need it. So I kind of don't mind. Like, I like this one and the blue one so far. The black one was decent. The white one has been the only one that hasn't really impressed me at all. This one's not too bad. I probably would pack one, pick one this, because, hey, I could always get a land. Whoops, I did not mean to do that. So yeah, not bad. Not bad at all. Next up, we've got Sizzling Barrage. It's 1 and a red. It's an instant. This deals 4 damage to target creature that blocked this turn. So, you want to save your creature from dying that's getting blocked. Boom, play Sizzling Barrage. This is not a bad little piece of removal here, and I'd probably early to mid pick this card. Next up, we've got Skyclave Geopede for 2 and a red. It's an insect. It's a 3/1 with trample. Whenever land enters the battlefield under your control, this gets +2/+2 until end of turn. So remember that other landfall aggro card, that Akum Hellhound or whatever? That with this and freaking landfall aggro? Yeah. Heck yeah. Making it a 5/3. Very good. Very good. Next up, we've got Sneaking Guide for 1 red. It's a Goblin Rogue. It's a 1/1. You can pay 2 and tap this. Target creature with power 2 or less can't be blocked this turn. Ooh, could play some combat tricks with that too. So you go and make your, I don't know, something unblockable this turn. Boom. Then you just play a combat trick after blockers are declared and pump it up. And now you just did a lot of damage. All right, next up we've got Song Mad Treachery for 3 double red. It's a sorcery. Gain control of target creature until end of turn. Untap that creature. It gains haste until end of turn. Wow, that is really expensive. That seems more expensive than, because Act of Treason is only usually 3 mana. 5 mana for a basically Act of Treason type card. I mean, it's cool. It could also be a land, but dang, that is expensive. Not too thrilled about that. I mean, mid to late pick more than anything. Next up, we've got Spikefield Hazard for 1 red. It's an instant. This deals 1 damage to any target. If a permanent dealt damage this way would die this turn, exile it instead. So a pretty crappy shock, but could also be a land. I mean, yeah, cool, it could exile something, but and it's not that exciting. Wow, the red removal is not that great here from what I'm seeing here. So next we got Spitfire Lagak for 3 and a red. It's a lizard. It's a 3/4 for 4. So with landfall, whenever a land enters the battlefield under your control, this deals 1 damage to each opponent. Yeah, if I'm going heavy into landfall, I'm gonna want one of these because this is just great to have in a landfall aggro type deck. Next up, we've got Synchronized Spellcraft for 4 and a red. It's an instant. This deals 4 damage to target creature and X damage to that creature's controller, where X is the number of creatures in your party. So this deals 4 damage and X damage to that X is... Okay. So it could be pretty decent removal and also deal some damage to your opponent. Should you have some party members out on the field? Not bad. Not bad. Some decent removal. A little bit expensive, but, you know, not too bad. Not too bad. It could be an early to mid pick if you know you're going heavy into party. Alright, we're getting near the end here. The last 8 cards. Next up, we've got Teeter Peak Ambusher for 1 and a red. It's a Goblin Warrior. It's a 1/3. You pay 2 and a red, and it gets +2/+0 until end of turn. So your basic kind of pump spell creature where you can keep pumping it up with as long as you have the mana to pay for it. And so you pump it up once, it becomes a 3/3 for 2. Not bad. So a 1/3 body for 2 mana even is not that bad. It could be a decent blocker at first. And then you can pump it up and, you know, make it stronger there. So it's not bad. Next up, we've got Thundering Rebuke, 1 and a red. It's a sorcery. This deals 4 damage to target creature or planeswalker. Jeez. Like, no good lightning strike or shock or any of that. All sorcery speed kind of removal. The instant speed removal is in red is just not very good. I mean, with this kind of removal, yeah, this would be an early to mid pick, even possibly a pack one pick one if there's literally nothing better in there, because this could kill a lot of stuff here. Next up, we've got Thundering Spark Mage for 3 and a red. It's a human wizard. It's an uncommon 2/2. So a 2/2 for 4. Okay, it's a bit expensive, but what do you do? When this enters the battlefield, it deals X damage to a creature planeswalker or X's number of creatures in your party. So it'll count itself when it enters the battlefield. So it's going to at least do 1 damage to target creature or planeswalker. And if you happen to have all 4 party members, it will deal 4 damage. So it's not a bad little 2/2 for 4 and possibly get rid of some pesky stuff. Not that exciting, but pretty common what we're seeing in a lot of the party mechanics and the colors there. Next up, we've got a reprint of Tormenting Voice for 1 and a red. It's a sorcery. As an additional cost to cast this card, discard a card and draw 2 cards. Always a good cantrip to have in red. You get rid of that pesky card that's not doing you any good, and you get to draw 2 cards. So what's not to love with Tormenting Voice? Alright, next up we've got Tuk Tuk Rubble Fort for 2 and a red. It's a wall, has Defender and Reach. Creatures you control have haste. Hey, I'm okay with that. You know, mid to late pick more than anything. I mean, having all your creatures have haste is pretty damn good, though. Next up, we've got Valakut Awakening for 2 and a red. It's an instant. Put any number of cards from your hand on the bottom of your library, then draw that many cards +1. Or you can flip it around and play it as a land. Now, I'm trying to think in limited... I mean, unless your hand is just absolute trash and you want to attempt to, you know, draw into something better, cool. Well, this would not be a pack one, pick one. No. Otherwise, this is a... And it's okay. I mean, I could see the uses for this in EDH for sure, especially if you have 20 cards in hand and, oh, look, now I get to draw 21 cards, right? Otherwise, it's kind of meh. Yeah, stay away from this card in limited. It doesn't feel very good. Feels like you'd want to be doing something better. Next up would be Valakut Exploration for 2 and a red. It's an enchantment and has landfall. Whenever a land enters the battlefield under your control, exile the top card of your library. You may play that card for as long as it remains exiled. Okay. At the beginning of your end step, if there are cards exiled with Valakut Exploration, put them into their owner's graveyard. Then Valakut Exploration deals that much damage to each opponent. Oh. Okay. So in EDH, or no, well, not EDH, but limited, not that great. EDH, you put this in like I say Omnath Locus, a rage deck, like some kind of ramp deck, and you get multiples of these cards. Boom, it's just dealing a lot more damage. Hey, you get a damage enabler like Torbrand or Fire Emancipation. Boom, it's dealing even more damage. I can see the use for this kind of enchantment. Otherwise, I would just stay away from it in limited. I mean, it's not that it's bad in limited. It's just at 3 mana, I'd want to be helping kill my opponent quicker than this here, All right, next up we've got, or last but certainly not least, we've got Wayward Guide Beast. For 1 red, it's a beast 2/2 with trample and haste. When this deals combat damage to a player, return a land you control to its owner's hand. Wow, that seems terrible. So this deals combat damage to a player, return a land you control to its owner's hand. This is bad. I would not want to play this in limited. I would not want to return a land I control. Like, say you play this turn 1. Oh, look, now, I gotta return my land. Yeah, no, this is trash. Sorry. This is a trash fire card. Don't play it. It's terrible. Just, no. Don't. It's trash. Completely pick something else. Yeah, cool. It's very tempting. Looks cool, but it's trash. It's trash fire. And those are all the red cards there. All right, and there you have it. Those are all the red cards for Zendikar Rising. I hope you enjoyed the set review, especially that last card, that Wayward Guide Beast. I can't get over it. It's trash. It's a trash card. It's trash fire. It's really bad. I don't like it. It's bad. But anyways, so I hope you enjoyed the review, and get ready for the green cards of Zendikar Rising as we keep moving forward with this set review. Thank you all for listening and watching. I love you all, and have a great night.